Killer 7 is being review bombed. So Killer 7 for me was one of those games that I never got the chance to play. It was something that I always wanted to get for the GameCube because I am a GameCube player and I have been for a long time. It's probably my favorite console of all time. But it was one of those things. Killer 7 was never a game I had the opportunity to play. It's one of those games that honestly I've never even seen it as far as like whenever I go into retro stores and stuff like that because I feel like that's how rare it is. I don't know if they just didn't sell a lot of copies of it or what happened, but this is a game I don't see a lot of. So the fact that they have this information come out about it and the fact that it's getting review bombed, I think is unfortunate because it does seem like it would be a fun game to play, but at the same time, it is one of those things. If you did want to pick it up, they have the opportunity to, as far as like with Steam and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and check out this article and we'll go ahead and give our thoughts. So, Killer 7 is being review bombed on Steam due to the introduction of AI upscaling to the game's cutscenes. Despite being a port of the beloved title from the 2000s, the Steam version of Killer 7 has recently become much worse according to the fan base. And this is an interesting thing, the fact that they are trying to use AI to do upscaling. With AI coming out and everything like that, it is one of those things that some people can look at it in a negative way, and there are some people that can look at it in a positive way. I feel like when it comes down to some stuff like this, it can be done positively if you do try to use it to kind of upscale stuff and kind of fix features. But at the end of the day, you really do got to make sure that just because you're using AI to upscale it doesn't mean it's going to automatically make it look good. Like you still have to check it out, make sure it's still worthy as to what the game originally was. And from the sounds of what, this is going on with this and how players are reacting to it, that doesn't seem like that's the case. So we'll go ahead and continue on. Killer 7 was originally developed by Grasshopper Manufacture in 2025 for PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Widely praised as one of the best games by Gyochi Suda, the legendary developer also known for Suda 51, Killer 7 is a unique action adventure title that quickly became a cult hit. In 2018, the game was released for PC via Steam and immediately garnered very positive reviews, with 90% of all games liking it on the platform until a recent blunder. And that is one of the crazy things. Like I said, I never had the opportunity to play it, so I am curious to how people react to it and how people feel about it. And it's one of those things I've never really seen too much of the gameplay. I've seen some trailers here and stuff like that here and there, but as far as the game itself, like playing it fully through, I've never really seen it. So just some of the photos I've seen of it and the way it looks, it does, like the still shots, it does look like it is kind of a weird game, but it does look like it's something interesting worth checking out. And of course, with me being a huge Resident Evil 4 fan, they do have one of the guns in there. It is called the Killer 7, and they did do that as kind of like a homage to the game itself. So, with me being such a big fan of that game, it was one of those things for years. I've always wanted to try this game out and see what it's like. So, go ahead and continue on. Now, Killer 7 is being review bombed on Steam, with its recent review being mostly negative. While it's not uncommon to see recent games getting review bombed on Steam, well, I don't know if review bombed because a lot of newer games kind of suck, but it's unusual for it to happen to a port of a 2000 game that has been available for over 5 years. The negative reviews began pouring in soon after the introduction of the recent Killer 7 update, which promised to offer remastered videos with smoother playbacks, as well as other graphical improvements, including upscaling textures. So, I don't. So that's kind of interesting, especially considering that they had done it as like an update. So with one of those things, like, is it gonna be something that they're gonna be able to actually go back on or to fix, or are they just gonna leave it as is? Because if a lot of people aren't happy with it and they're upset with what they had done to it, I feel like at that point you might as well just switch it back and try to figure out how you're gonna go about fixing it until it is, to the players' liking at that point. However, this update was not very well received, as many gamers remarked that it's essentially ruined the vibe of Killer 7. In several reviews, gamers complained that the cutscenes look terrible now, as the AI upscaling patch seemed like a downgrade. So that's really interesting. I kind of wish they had like a video or something to kind of give like a little bit of a side by side so that you can see what it looked like. But at this point, you just gotta kind of take the player's word for it, and then maybe I'm sure that there's someone out there eventually that's gonna make a video on YouTube or something like that, so we can go ahead and check it out. So, following recent releases like Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, a remaster of this classic Grasshopper manufacturer which added several qualities of life improvements, it's understandable how disappointed the new Killer 7 update has proven to be with fans. Fortunately, Killer 7 update does bring some improvements, such as bug fixes and the additional of DualShock support. However, many players believe that these positive changes have been overshadowed, citing that the AI upscaling ruined the game's immersive, bizarre atmosphere. And as you can see here with some of the photos, it kind of just shows like the graphics of it and everything like that. Stuff like this makes me really curious of what the game is about and how it is. Because when you see kind of like these characters and everything like that, my first initial reaction is that it looks like a very stylized type of game, and it's got to do something with like some of these characters that you're going to be, in the first person perspective of shooting. So it does give the feeling that it's kind of like an underground, crime world versus like you versus police officers and everything like that almost, until you kind of see these creatures and then you start wondering like what the hell is this game about, kind of a thing. At least for me, that's how I feel about it. But the fact that that people are complaining that the visuals and stuff like that are ruined, I'm really curious as to what it looks like and what caused people to feel this way. So, not everything is bad news for fans of the classic title in 2024. A few months ago, Suda55 and Shinji Mikami showed interest in bringing back Killer 7. According to the developers, making a complete edition of the game would be a good idea, and there were even hints that a sequel could be made someday. Unfortunately, these comments are not an official announcement, so gamers can only hope that the developers will eventually return to Killer 7 IP to bring back the cult classic in a more acceptable form. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting with the fact that, they did say that it was a game that was re-released a few years back. Chances are, if it didn't garner enough hype back then to kind of continue on with it, more than likely people probably aren't gonna pretty much have to expect like a sequel coming out or something like that. But you never know with, cult classics and everything like that. It could be one of those things where they do decide to do like a remake of it, and then that could garner, further fans to anticipating something more of like a sequel, as well as, them continuing on with this world. So I think this is unfortunate that this game had this happen to it, but at the same time, it is one of those things like, a lot of people don't like AI. Like I said, some people do, but if you're gonna use it, you gotta make sure you use it well. Because when you do stuff like this, I feel like this is just gonna piss people off, and it's gonna make them really feel like AI shouldn't be a thing in general, especially when it comes down to older games like that. And I understand why they decided to go that route, because when you look at like older photos and then their AI like generated to upscale them and everything like that, it can make it look really good. But at the same time, you gotta do it well. Because if you don't do it well, you're gonna get reviews like this where people are gonna be very upset with what you did. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If there are any Killer 7 fans out there that have been able to play the game and you did see what the upscaling did to the scenes and everything like that, do you guys feel like it ruined it in your opinion? So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys have been watching this long. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.